Now let's find out what they're going to opt into. There's the Kalista, as expected. Alistair is still up. Braum is still up. So you have to imagine that Yellowstar will be happy on one of those with the Fiora taken away. Hauncer's lost the champion, but so has Duke, and there's the Lulu. So no real surprises here, but what does Duke first pick?
Alistair is there. Corki's been another big one for a lot of teams.
Are you surprised by Corki?
It's actually not been that big of a pick for Team Solo Mid before. But
also, is Bjergsen really gonna, yes, they can flex it, but is he really gonna pick that up on first rotation? You would think that Alistar would be a good pick to steal away, but
I mean,
maybe they just want
to take Alistar here.
Yeah, Yellowstar will need to take Alistar, so obviously SKT knows this. It's not like, oh, really? They play Alistar? So maybe Wolf just wants maybe a range support with some more trading potential to then get the pressure in the lane early.
I mean, again, that's the thing. With this pick and ban phase, for me, with SKT, they're kind of telling you, you can go Alistar and Lee Sin here if you want the two main comfort picks for Team Solo Mid. And obviously SKT would be prepared for it. And then should have something ready to counter it. Nidalee is open as well, not being banned away. So a lot of these picks that has been very good for these teams in this tournament are actually open.
It's time to go late game, Gangplank. Lock it.
Nautilus, another big one in the meta. And
it's tough decisions for Team Solo Mid, and I think the fact that
picks open.
They love their Ezreal though. They really like their Ezreal, because a lot of teams here will be like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up the Lucian here on the early rotation, get an aggressive laner. You know, there's not really any counters left, but TSM seems to really be comfortable plinking that Ezreal in the bot lane.
Doublelift spoke about it. He really likes the pick at the moment.
The problem is, again, if you play against Braum Lucian, that laning phase is so difficult for you to do all that in, other than just sit and farm. And Braum, not surprisingly at all, is a higher priority for SKT than Alistar, because some teams actually feel like Alistar is a little bit overhyped in the sense where Braum in team fights, because he has his own shield and also his AoE, his ulti, he can just be so annoying, and he can honestly shut down your AD carry completely.
It just works a little bit better into these picks, you know. Play out a team fight already in your mind, you know what's coming up. Ezreal ulti, well, boom, blocked by a shield, you know. Dredgeline comes in, you just jump on whoever gets caught, put out a shield, and he will survive too. Braum is just super good defensive peel. Alistar offers a little better engage, but with this composition that SKT seems to run, which is more like poke siege, it's okay for Braum to just, you know, soak up the skill shots and wait for SKT to keep poking over and over.
And I think there's honestly a good chance we just see like a Lucian pick coming in for SKT, and then either Trundle against the Nautilus,
or one poke siege,
or a Quinn if you want to have a super strong early game split pusher as well. We talked about Lee Sin, comfort pick for them. Again, most likely Alistar coming in the end. So they take away LeBlanc because of the Lissandra ban. They don't want Faker to blind pick the LeBlanc and then put Corki AD carry, and then Bjergsen might be like, oh, I have to play Zed. But then we already have Zed, Ezreal, Lee Sin, and that would be like very heavy on physical damage.
TSM falling into the pit of like a pick composition here though, with not much wave clear overall. If they get a little bit behind, then SKT just get a group on the mid lane, you know, push side lanes, group mid. Bjergsen actually has to stick his head into the wave to clear it, and that's going to be dangerous.
Zed, I mean, Faker can actually play Zed here if he wants to.
Who played it yesterday? It was Febiven into
Febiven against QG played it. But this is what we talked about, Lucian, Trundle. Trundle into Nautilus, you win that 1v1. Okay, pure early game, Nautilus will push you. High base damage, he will push you. Get one item under your belt as Trundle, you win that 1v1. You out-sustain him, you steal away his stats in big team fights. Lucian, we mentioned the Braum Lucian lane into what we expect is Alistar and Ezreal. So that's a winning lane more for SKT. And Corki is just so strong still in the laning phase. Is a bit of kill pressure from LeBlanc, but requires a misplay from Faker. So overall, SKT, even though they are giving away comfort picks, getting a very solid draft.
And I mean, is this just going to be an Alistair here from TSM using their time, or do you think they're going to pull a surprise and shock everybody?
I mean, considering that they have the support in the last pick, that means they were flexing the Nautilus. Otherwise, I don't see any reason to, I mean...
Oh, Quinn here. Yeah, go Quinn.
Yeah.
Quinn is super good into Trundle.
So flexing the Nautilus?
Destroy him. Put Nautilus support, put Quinn top into Trundle, and you have a super good matchup.
You can see that they're flexing the Nautilus, otherwise they wouldn't have picked the Lee Sin that early, and they would have just maybe get more information if he was 100% going to play that Alistar.
Take it.
Hang on.
I really like this pick.
He seems...
I know, he's very eager today.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the PC.
Very eager today. I hope the crowd has...
This goes to 11 games out. At the end, I want to see the officials like, lock it, just lock it in.
Well, 2 seconds down, and it's the bait and switch.
Now
are you disappointed?
I feel like you just kind of surrender the entire
game,
early to mid game now. If you had gone Quinn, you have Quinn, Lee Sin, LeBlanc as your top half of the map. Super strong triangle you can play.
The thing is, The reason I think they don't do it is because the Nautilus Ezreal will have an incredibly hard time laning. I feel, especially because you need synergy to lane with Nautilus. Because very often when we see Nautilus players in the support role, they kind of overextend once, and Nautilus is deceptively squishy as a support. So, and that would also mean that you would then need a lane swap to solve that, and then suddenly you're playing Quinn in a lane swap, and then...
But that's okay, in my opinion, because Quinn actually does extremely well in the super long lanes.
But she doesn't get enough damage to really assassinate somebody then, I feel. I really like Quinn's...
Well, you take 2 early towers, and you always bounce the way for her, and she will get quite a lot of gold from getting early towers.
Well,
I don't know.
Quinn's not in the game. Nautilus is.
So, Team Soulmate, honestly...
Predictions, come on.
I feel like they said, let's play it safe for game 1. Don't pick the Quinn, don't try and rely on winning 1v1. I give it to SKT, though. I really like that competition.
Yeah, just try and scale against the reigning world champions, you know? What's the worst that can happen?
All right, we're going to find out. SKT and TSM, they've locked in their team comps. When you return, we'll kick off game 1.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go, the first semi-final about to get underway. SK Telecom T1K versus Team Solo Mid. I'm joined by the Rain Bros. Who else would we have
been a little while,
for the Korean match? So, it has been a while. I was surprised. Did you actually get to keep the outfits, by the way?
No,
unfortunately.
No, we had them framed, and they're up like the OGN office for all time.
It's like Hard Rock Cafe style in the side there. But
someday, we'll find them. We'll track them down.
So let's talk about the pick and ban phase we just saw. We heard the disappointment on the desk, pretty much saying they may well have just lost the game just off that simple pick and ban change.
Well, I think they really nailed it.
I mean, there's other reasons why they might lose the game as well. But.
Yeah, like every other reason. But the pick and ban phase, I think they had a good idea, of course, with that flex Nautilus, but they kind of backed themselves into a corner at the end because they early picked the Ezreal. I think if they take the Lucian here, then they have much more flexibility at the back end of this draft, but they really have been tunneling. I mean, 4 out of TSM 6 games have been with this Ezreal. We saw Doublelift get a pentakill. In the game, he lost with it, but still impressive stuff. And they just really want to outlast SK Telecom here. I don't know if I think this is the best strategy to go for. Wait until blue build Ezreal hits a power spike in the late game, but apparently that's the one we're going to see.
I mean, if we've seen how SK Telecom has done so far in Korea this year, where they've struggled the most really has been the early game, right? I mean, they constantly have a gold deficit at 15 minutes. So if there's any one team in Korea you probably don't want to go into the late game against, SK Telecom is going to be near the top of that list right now. So yeah, it's extraordinarily risky. I feel like they would have had a big edge with the Quinn, but going a little bit more tanky.
And outside of Korea, there's one team you definitely don't want to face, and it's SK Telecom T1K, because they have been the most successful team in international competition, 2 times world champions. Faker in the middle still, of course, and we already saw him put his fists up. He's ready to fight. He's ready to start. He's going to be up against Bjergsen, the American Faker, I believe, was the tag. Better than Faker. I'm not sure how it went exactly. But,
objectively.
I remember seeing a video somewhere along those lines at one point.
Well, here we are, guys. Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of the day here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. SK Telecom versus TSM. Sven Skjæren getting aggressive already. Bjergsen's like, hey, man, leave my jungler alone. I don't know what he was doing there, but please don't hurt him.
Bjergsen's a great LeBlanc player. We've seen some really hard carry performances from him on LeBlanc here in Poland so far, so it should be exciting to see him pull out that champion again. Faker's going to take Cleanse just so he has a way to deal with the chains. Of course, there is some kill pressure there. Sven Skjæren has that mobility to follow up on LeBlanc's ganks in the mid lane if that is going to occur. And Sven Skjæren has been really favoring the Lee Sin this tournament.
Yeah. And, to me, too, another big question mark, too, is how Blank is going to do in this series. I mean, it's another, okay matchup for him, and he had a really good day yesterday, better than anything we've seen from him in Korea on OGN Champions, but still a big question mark about how this guy's actually going to perform.
Yeah, and the 2 games he played were pretty bloodthirsty affairs. Everyone going aggressive, and speaking of aggression, Bjergsen trying to get an early poke onto Faker, but he's not having any of it. Quick phosphorus bomb to the face. We'll set that one up. This is definitely a mid-lane combo we would like to keep our eyes on, as is this bottom lane. A lot of talk, of course, about Bang and Wolf. Very successful combo coming up against Doublelift and Yellowstar. Very experienced combo, but they really have their work cut out. However, Yellowstar and Alistair, probably his best champion this tournament so far.
Yeah, definitely, and he's been able to, I think, set up a lot of nice initiation so far for TSM, and his Alistair has been a lot of the reason why they were able to win some of these games. Especially when we got super late, and we saw that Alistair ult have a big effect on some of these team fights, able to tank so much damage. Getting this game, we did see SK Telecom just check for the lane swap right there, make sure that they weren't going to fall behind if they were in fact doing Gromp, or if the lane swap was coming through, that they'd be able to harass if they started weak side. But this puts SKT in an absolutely fantastic position. You want that Trundle into the Nautilus, you definitely want the Lucian Braum into the Ezreal Alistair, and this is where SK Telecom can really start getting a lead by bullying out some of these lanes. It also means that Nidalee is going to have a lot of freedom on this map, not really having to worry about ganking so much or trying to affect these lanes. And we'll see exactly what Blank is going to do. Looks like it will be an early red take here over on the side of SK Telecom.
Yeah, Blank gets in there, steals away the red buff. They saw Sven Skjæren in the ward down in the bottom jungle, so we knew he was safe to run in there and grab it. But I'm excited about this mid lane. I mean, Bjergsen's been playing really well this weekend. It's a great matchup. Here comes Blank. He's like, my mid lane might need help. Faker getting lower. The Ignite ticking, but it looks like it won't be quite enough to finish him off with Bjergsen getting the early lead. Out of mana, though, so...
Just a little delay from Blank there. He was quite happy to do a little drive-by and head straight for his own buff. Sven Skjæren himself. I wonder if he's going to be aware that he came in. I mean, he definitely is now, because he passed through the mid lane with double buffed setup.
Yep.
But Sven having a little peek down the bottom, but nothing coming from it. So Sven will be falling behind in jungle early on to Blank. And Blank has put up a pretty impressive performance. You were talking about his KDA just before we came on air.
Yeah.
It's pretty monstrous for this tournament.
Yeah, he's already at 26 KDA. So far, I mean, of course, it's only been 2 games. Those were both wins, so it does have a tendency to inflate. But if we compare that to what he was doing in Korea, it really is night and day, his performance. Interestingly, let's talk about this red buff a little more, because Sven Skjæren decided to go from Krugs to Raptors and then down into the bottom side of the map. It looks like he may have been waiting for Duke to press up in the matchup top lane, come collect the red buff later, and then attempt a top gank. So interesting pathing from Sven Skjæren here, but unfortunately with Blank coming into the enemy jungle, it didn't exactly work out to his benefit.
Yeah. Another a big milestone potentially for SK Telecom today is that right now they sit 1 win behind Samsung White in terms of overall lifetime wins for this team. And so today it's very possible that this new SK Telecom team that was formed at the beginning of last year will have more career wins than Samsung White.
Yeah, and they've already overshadowed the old SK Telecom K also, so they're rising up the ranks. Korean teams. Obviously, some of the teams that were around for longer, such as Frost and Blaze, do have more wins, but they've made a mark in just a little bit over a year.
They've done it
How do you
so
rate them
fast.
over the years? Like, how do you rate? You've obviously, you guys have cast all of these great Korean teams. Who do you feel has been the best, the epitome of League of Legends so far?
I think it was SK Telecom K, but it depends on what happens with this SKT. Result of the Trundle Pillar coming in, but you're not going to be able to back out very easily on a Nautilus out of that situation, and they had the river warded up. Didn't expect Blank to come right through by the top tier 1 turret.
Yeah, I mean, Hanser did everything he could to get away, but just couldn't quite make it.
That was such a simple gang. It was just a straight up lane gang. There was nothing like brutal, nothing like clever about it. They just got simply caught. That's something you've got to be careful about, especially against a team like SKT, because they won't make those mistakes very often.
Faker, come get your blue buff. Come on, man.
Just defend.
Come on.
Blank's like, come on.
There you go.
There we go. Just managed to get himself in there early. So, okay, Svenskeren, what are you going to do? Are you going to help out your bottom lane? Are you going to camp out, get double lift going maybe? Because the top lane may well be slipping away from you. You're going to lose that red buff again. It's not spawned yet. A little mistiming from Blank.
This is where things are going to start to potentially snowball. So Duke goes back, gets the team out. Remember, he doesn't have to use TP to get back into lane, simply walks up. He will be able now to push this lane very aggressively into the tier 1. And as soon as Faker goes back and get the package, there's a possibility we could see a pretty big dive on the bottom side while they have the TP edge. They've got a lot of options in terms of how they make these plays. If Duke is doing well on the top side, they also just simply don't have to use it and let him slowly just whittle down this tower and take a global gold advantage that way. So really the ball in SK Telecom's court now after that gank. The 2 summoners pretty crucial for how this matchup could play out in just a few minutes. Looks like we're going to see the first recalls of the game here for the bottom lane. Yellowstar sticking around.
Yep. Manamune picked up by double lift. Gonna keep stacking that tier 2 shot. Barrage comes through, prevents the recall from Bang. Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, that's gonna give the TSM bot lane a little bit more time to kind of farm safely without really having to worry about anything.
And what it's going to do is it's going to allow them to push the wave up, which is going to stall out any possible teleport ganks that are coming through. Faker now looking for an angle here on the top side.
Package incoming. Pink ward spots him though. That may well cancel the gank. You can see Svenskeren is nearby. Is he going to continue red buff? Bjergsen going looking. He's going to get spotted out by that pink ward and doesn't fancy a one-on-one with Faker down the river just yet.
No, you want to stay away from that Corki while he still has the package up. I also don't know where Blank is. Blank is not going to be seen as up till now.
There's the package. Scaring Bjergsen away for the moment anyway. Just trying something a little bit there, but Bjergsen obviously very ready for that one. And I gotta say, one thing that Bengi always did well, as we see Blank come in here, not quite able to claim that red buff, but one thing that Bengi always did well was get Vision in to keep Faker safe, let him be aggressive in lane. And we're seeing that from Blank. I mean, I feel like this is one of the major steps in making Blank work as a jungler for SK Telecom.
I feel like we're slowly watching a bit of a Rocky montage for Blank. This is his training.
That's right.
So we're going to see how he turns up when he gets back to OGN.
Go too much.
Can he deliver it in the LCK? That's going to be the ultimate test. I'll keep my eyes on that one when you guys get back to Korea. But as it is at the moment, it is very much slow, standard lanes. This is an interesting thing in itself because we've seen so much lane swapping over the last sort of months or two in every league, in fact. Well, maybe not the Chinese league, but almost every league.
Yeah, and we've seen it really dominate this tournament so far too, just because you can dodge a lot of these unfavorable matchups. But Doublelift and Yellowstar are doing well. I mean, they're keeping up in terms of farm with Bang and Wolf.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any, he's going to be able to stack his tier very nicely. There hasn't been a lot of chip damage dealt to the turret. Big advantage here has been in terms of what Blank has been able to do in the enemy jungle when it comes to just slowly getting a slight farm lead in that jungle position. But otherwise, it's just all scaling here. And TSM, they may like that with Ezreal, but without this LeBlanc getting kills, thing is LeBlanc.
Hello, wow. Blank goes deep, gets pushed right to Bjergsen. Blank might be in trouble here. Bjergsen comes in, gets the kill. Faker on his own. Can he trade? Gets Svenskeren. Now, can he get away? I don't know. That's a lot of damage. Doesn't dodge into the bush in time. And Bjergsen with the double kill. Error from Blank, and that costs SKT.
Yeah, he was trying to get in there and ward, but that is exactly what TSM needs to get into this game because Bjergsen has to get fed to have an effect. LeBlanc is a champion that does well when ahead. Oh. If you're even or behind, she just doesn't do a whole lot. She doesn't have the items to make that big impact in the late game.
Yeah.
Looked like Yellowstar wanted a little cuddle with Wolf there.
Support buddies.
They kind of followed themselves all the way down the river and just carried on around the tribe. It's like, is he going to carry on going here? But he has to check this fight out.
Yeah, I mean, Blank
way
here,
too far up.
Yeah, he's trying to play around with this pink ward, and that's just not going to work at this point in time. You have to be very scared of the damage coming out of LeBlanc. And Faker's there, but even though they get there faster.
Yeah, on to Doublelift, arcane shift away. We'll see if he can make it out. He's got his flash, he's got his summoner heal. There's the exhaust, use the Q misses. Bramalt connects, and there's a kill for Blank. Yellowstar still in the mix. Blank taking a bit of damage from the turret, but they're just gonna back off and leave the battle cow to it. So SKT responding, grabbing a kill for themselves.
Yeah, it looks like Doublelift just stuck around way too long down that bottom.
Also, both members of the top lane are dead for some reason.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, we'll have to get a replay of what happened there, too.
Hansa clearly died first, judging by the death timers. Don't exactly know what happened there. Well,
yeah, I guess so.
Right. So here's what happened. Duke all-in'd him, and then he killed him, and then Svenskeren came and killed him in the top lane.
Seems logical.
No replay needed.
Sherlock Christo. Elementary.
But of course, that pressure down this bottom lane does give first dragon of the game across to SKT. Did a very early dragon the other day, 6 minutes. They went for that dragon. It's seemingly back on their priority list. I mean, I guess if everybody else is leaving it, why not? Hello.
Faker for the wall.
Go back on Faker, fancied a bit, and he tries to go from one-on-one. We'll get a little bit of help. Haunter comes in, and they do give the kill to Haunter. A 4-man indeed, and that could give them the mid turret.
Yeah, very good collapse right there. SK Telecom not in position to deal with that. Duke had his TP available, but Haunter simply roams into the mid lane. They're going to pick up the objective, and for the first time in this game, TSM's going to have a gold lead.
It's interesting to see because, again, you know, I mean, this is what we see back in Korea. We see SK Telecom behind at 15 minutes all the time. Let's see what happened in the top lane. And I think it's going to be pretty much what Monte Cristo said. There's Yalin, there's Hanser dying, and what do you know? Svenskeren shows up, and Duke's not going to be able to get away from that one.
Pesky Lee Sin just beating on your back there. But
yep, kicking you to death in the butt.
It definitely took him a while, but there we go. Get there in the end. And speaking of which, Bang and Wolf back down this bottom lane. Now, we were talking about this earlier. Doublelift has actually done all right in this lane. And this has worked out pretty well for TSM so far on this Ezreal. He's just slowly stacking that man immune, going to get it built up. And good old Blue Ez is going to get a bit of free time that he needs to get going. For Bjergsen and Faker trading quite a lot in the mid lane. We haven't got the sound back on from the game yet, or it is, but it's just incredibly quiet.
Might just be for us, too.
Maybe.
Who knows? Duke gets that pink ward up in Tri-Brush. And so he'll have a little bit less vision to worry about for the enemy team. That's my analysis.
That's very true.
Thank you.
I'm curious what Duke's going to do here. If he's going to go for the Titanic Hydra Iceborne build, seeming to stack up a little bit. Figure actually going to take a turret shot there, and he's going to have to back off. But look at the pressure that he's putting on. There's a ward behind him that Hanser could theoretically teleport to right now if they wanted to make that play. But it would also mean losing that top tier 1. So they don't want to commit to a kill when they're not actually going to get an objective. And I think that's definitely a solid call here. They're not getting itchy trigger fingers to try and continue to kill Faker in this mid lane. And instead, just trying to play defense. But this...
It's got the package.
Yeah, this mid and top tower is just slowly getting chunked out for TSM, and they have to have some sort of response to what Faker is doing here in the mid lane, whether it's Svenskeren trying to get an angle on him just to get the kill with the gank without overcommitting. Duke falls back from the top lane, takes out that pink ward, and that's going to mean that Bjergsen's going to feel even less safe pushing forward. Bang just winning these trades very handily in the bottom side.
Yeah, man, and Bang's solution is really the stuff of legends in a lot of the games we've seen from him over the years. And you got to be worried. I mean, late game, Bang has really hard to carry potential on this champion. Faker, a little bit of trouble, uses the package to escape, just wanted to take out that ward. But he needs to be careful. Bjergsen's got a lot of damage.
Has to use that package to escape, though. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, hello.
Bug splat! Oh, no. Bug splat! There it is!
It strikes. It struck us all.
Before anybody freaks out, this is a spectator client error. It doesn't actually affect the game, guys.
Yeah, the players are still in it. They're still just fine. Don't worry.
Reconnect, and it's all...
We're getting back in there.
We all got it. We all got it. So
we did. I'm glad we all got to share this moment together. It's a beautiful thing, you know.
But you can see decent communication, it would appear, across the board with TSM.
Players don't even notice. Yeah. They don't care about how we feel about that bug splat.
Well, just to keep you guys updated, we're back at the game now.
Yeah.
And everything, no one's died, nothing has really happened.
Everything is fine.
Nothing is broken.
That's right. The system is not down. Well,
it was for a little bit.
It was for a moment.
The system is
back up again. Yeah.
We rebooted it.
We'll get back in the game in just a second, guys.
Yeah, Blanket and Faker do take out the mid turret now, so they do even up in terms of turret score. SK Telecom still with a slight lead.
All right. Hey, and there goes mid lane turret just in time to see Faker reaping the benefits of all that pressure throughout the game. Died a couple times for it, but paid off in the end. Shot Barrage does not prevent the recall this time around.
Yeah, really good roam from Hanser, though, in that mid lane to take out Faker and take out the mid lane turret. That opened up a lot of options for TSM, but they're still trying to play a very defensive game here. I guess TSM's game plan is it's just rely on double lift in the late game. They have the necessary kills on Bjergsen. He will be a threat, and there are just so many members of SK Telecom for him to target. Blank, Faker, and Bang all going to be quite squishy, and Bjergsen certainly carried some games here in the earlier days of this tournament on this LeBlanc. He's an excellent LeBlanc player, so he's got to make these picks and then have double lift clean up the fight. 2 items already for this blue Ezreal, so he's doing quite well.
That's the idea.
1 minute till the Dragon. You can see the team starting to size themselves up, go for a little bit of control, looking towards the red buff area. We do see Blankies trying to come around. We do have Bjergsen, Svenskeren. Looks like they're going to get a 4-stack for this bottom turret, so they want to try and get a little bit of turret control, start to bully them away. As I said, 40 seconds on that Dragon. If they can get control, don't forget that mid turrets are both down for both teams. Wards all being placed around the jungle. So TSM have some pretty good vision around here at the moment.
Yeah,
SKT just have to react to it.
Really methodical pressure and shot calling. We talked about in the LCS, when TSM arrived, that they just looked lost a lot of the time when it came to their shot calling. But this time, they know where their advantage is, they know how the pressure's going, and they fade into the bottom side jungle, get the deep wards in, take out the turret. But here's the big issue. Duke, against this Nautilus, he wins the split push. He will also do so much damage in the team fight, and he's already ahead. So what is TSM's plan here? Because they can't really group as 5. The only thing they can do basically is get picks on LeBlanc, or with LeBlanc rather, at this point in time. But if SK Telecom can stay grouped up and prevent that from happening, prevent themselves from getting caught out by this LeBlanc, I think they're going to be in a really good position in either team fights or the split push scenario as this game goes on.
Trundle
Question is-
just backed. He's ready to teleport in if he's required for this fight. You can see the Dragon getting started off, but SK Telecom, there's the teleport coming in. They're going to go for it. Svenskeren goes in, but he doesn't win the smite fight. Gets around the side. Wolf getting focused on by Bjergsen. Won't get caught out. Not a lot of damage coming out from TSM. They're forcing SK Telecom slowly back. Faker trying to get around on side, but they're still pushing on double lift.
Yeah, that's right. Doublelift trying to escape out of this one. He was safe early on, but he couldn't quite stick with it. Faker somehow made it out of that 1v4, and SKT's like, yeah, we'd rather have the blue buff. We got what we came for.
Faker just took Bjergsen out of that fight in the backside, just got straight in his face, dealt the necessary damage so that Bjergsen was never even a threat. He's the Fed member. He's the one who had to do the damage. Otherwise, you're looking at a still 20-minute blue build Ezreal here, who's just not going to do a whole hell of a lot right now. So SK Telecom plays the team fight. They take the Dragon. They take the blue buff. They're going to take this mid-tier 2.
Bjergsen coming in to try to get some damage done on the Blank, but narrowly escapes with his life. SKT gets that turret, and actually another one going down in bot lane too. SK Telecom suddenly jumping up to a 4,000 gold lead just in the space of like 30 seconds or something.
You can't fight that if you're TSM. You're already losing the Trundle into Nautilus matchup. Your only hope is to get a pick and to fight late game with this Ezreal. So they go for it right here as we're starting to see in this replay. And watch, Bjergsen comes in, but he chunks out Wolf. Now Faker's just going to valve forward, and Bjergsen is going to get stunned if he stands next to Faker with those auto attacks. So he can no longer be a factor. He's the one with the kills in this game, and Doublelift, the rest of the team tries to go up to deal with Faker, but they can't do very much at all. That's just poor team fight positioning from TSM coming into that on top of a poor decision to even team fight in the first place.
Yeah, very true. And I mean, we're already seeing that Trundle's starting to do a decent amount of damage if he can get in onto the squishy members of TSM. That's getting scarier and scarier.
Yeah, Spirit Visage finished now, and he's working his way up. It's like we are going to see a little bit of trading here in the river.
I gotta say the bot lane skin synergy for TSM is lacking a little bit. I mean, we could have Striker Ezreal right there.
I
with,
know, the football symmetry could be on point. Well, Bang certainly is. There's going to be a pulverize on towards him. Wolf gets in front, blocks it nicely, and now Yellowstar having to use that ultimate. And there's the package delivery, and Doublelift just gets dropped by Faker. Perfect timing. And I was just about to say before all that happens, TSM don't seem to have read what's just happened in the last 30, 40 seconds there. They can't be pushing that mid lane. They were trying to get mid lane dominance again. It's like, you've lost this balance. You're not in the lead in this game. Back away. And SKT just came up and stomped their authority across Doublelift's face.
They also knew that the package had been picked up. It's not like there isn't some sort of global audio cue about that particular event happening in the game. And so when you're trying to play aggressively or try and create that pick, as we saw Yellowstar go in right there, you have to expect that Faker is going to be there instantaneously, and they are punished for it.
Yeah, taking some damage on that inhibitor turret even. Let's watch a replay of that fight.
I mean, they see Faker here before they even go in. Never mind that.
Yeah.
And catch the beginning of that fight. So they try and go in. Wolf is going to take out a lot of that damage. They're thinking, okay, but it's a 4v4. And I mean, Bjergsen is really the only person who can actually do anything. So it's an easy pick once that he just walks up towards the Raptor pit.
Yellowstar gonna go aggressive on Wolf here, and that's not the person you're looking for, especially when Duke is coming around the back. He's gonna collect on towards it. Bjergsen tries to go aggressive. That's gonna be on Bang, but manages to miss it. Doesn't quite catch the lead, and now he's committed. He's gonna have to kind of dive for this one. Bang may well get the push, but Bjergsen catches him. But is he going to get out alive? Doublelift's gonna join his fight. He's coming in from just above.
Yeah, that's right. Bjergsen dodging into the Raptor pit, dodges the, well, he doesn't have to dodge that. That's his own team's true shot barrage. Meanwhile, the duel's still happening in the mid lane, Blank backing away. Yeah, Duke scares Bjergsen off, but yeah, that Bjergsen LeBlanc is doing a lot of damage. Bang just had no hope of getting out there.
Yeah, and he forced the flash too, so it gets even better. And that's what they have to do. Bjergsen has to find these kills right now. They have to slow SK Telecom down somehow. Unfortunately, this starts with an engage on the side, and Blank, Duke, and Wolf are able to grab 2 kills before this thing really even gets going. So still an unfavorable trade. Faker is not anywhere close to that. I think he just figured Bang would be okay. If he had actually run through the jungle right there, they may have been able to turn that onto Bjergsen. So Faker, more concerned with pushing the lane. That's definitely a mistake on his behalf. I think Perhaps Bang got a little bit overconfident in what he was going to be able to do in that fight. As a result, he's starting to pick up the Null Magic Mantle, getting some MR at this stage. But the QSS, the Mob Malmortius, could definitely be coming in on a lot of these champions.
This is something we were talking about while we were watching the game that TSM had against Chaogu Reapers. Like the aggression that Chaogu were trying to pile on him. It's like, and you were saying, it's like, well, it's good to see SKT can still respond to this, because obviously things have slowed down in Korea, definitely a much slower game, but you know, when the chaos gets thrown at them, they certainly are able to step up their game, and it seems that's what TSM is trying to do. Like you said, they just need to fight. They need to try and find some picks to get themselves back in this game, and well, maybe that was one of those moments where SKT were just slightly caught off guard by the damage that Bjergsen can offer, but this is absolutely going to go SKT's favor unless TSM could try and turn things around. Yellowstar having to pop that ultimate very early on in this fight.
That's right, Yellowstar already really low here. Bjergsen coming in from the side, but he's lost a lot of health too. Blank diving in, Duke in the back lines. He's so hard to kill right now. Knockup comes in onto some of the SKT members. Bjergsen lurking, looking for that kill onto Bang, comes in, doesn't quite get it though. Kills already onto Hanser as Svenskeren goes on the run. Bramalt used just to secure that one. And SK Telecom gonna exit that fight with 2 kills, no deaths. And I feel like this is such a typical SK Telecom game, right? Early game, first 15 minutes, doesn't really matter. They'll go behind a little bit in gold, but then they turn it on at like 20 minutes and it's hard to stop them. They're going for the Baron.
Yeah, and they have every option to do this right now. Even though LeBlanc is still up, they have to be careful about that, but LeBlanc probably isn't even going to get there before this Baron dies, or it will be at the very least extremely close. Nope. Clean Baron take. TSM just not able to arrive at time, and Bjergsen goes in.
It doesn't find the damage, though, and now TSM on the run. Bjergsen waiting for those spell cooldowns. Duke over the wall onto Doublelift yet again. Might be able to get him. There's the Summoner heal, and Faker with the rocket from the side. Bjergsen on the run now. Doesn't want to fight SK Telecom 1v5. More damage comes in. There's the passive proc. Bjergsen trying to get away. The clone leads him on a merry chase.
Back.
Wow.
Yeah,
good escape from Bjergsen.
Yeah, very good, but it's just not going to be enough. This is going to be an inhibitor going down straight after that Baron, able to drive that advantage straight down the mid lane. And that team fight that we saw starting off there, a couple of mechanical misplays from TSM, especially Yellowstar. He actually hit his ult early before the Braum stun even procced. So we were able to catch up to quite a few members, and now that the Aegis of the Legion is done and we're starting to see more magic resist stack up onto SK Telecom, it's harder and harder for Bjergsen to take these kills. So Bjergsen actually did use his ultimate there previously. They see that. That's what causes this engage, is Bang puts the culling down as soon as Bjergsen mimics his distortion. So they know that part of his damage is gone. This is going to be the time to fight. And Duke is just absolutely unkillable in this situation. He is so far ahead in this game. Bang, of course, on the periphery, able to clean this up. He is going to try and get chunked out here, but he dodges out of the way of the W, so it's just a Q that ends up hitting him. And Bjergsen just doesn't have enough damage to go through this entire lineup now that they've gotten a little bit more MR and, of course, the aura item with the Aegis. So after this point, I mean, Yellowstar tries to come around, but it's only him and Doublelift. They burn down the Baron just in time before Bjergsen can actually arrive. Bang here. Do see a distortion, but obviously that damage not doing much. Wolf just going to block the True Shot barrage, and that's pretty much all the damage then done from TSM. And when you run a 2-threat comp like this, this is the kind of stuff that can happen to you.
And that's Yellowstar's ulti used once again pretty early on. Wolf catching on towards him, forcing that stun. Doublelift now has got the damage. The question is, can he get it delivered in the right place? Because SKT with Duke, it's causing a major problem for them. You said it right at the start. He's a 4-1-4. Nobody can deal with him in that lane anymore.
Nobody can kill him, period. Yeah. He's going Bloodthirster. He needs a Blade of the Ruined King to actually kill Duke here. Meanwhile, Bjergsen certainly can't kill Duke because his burst isn't going to be enough. There is no one who can actually finish off this Trundle. He will kill absolutely everybody.
Wow. Doublelift takes the spear, takes a lot of damage from the culling too. Turret goes down. SK Telecom continuing to push up this bot lane now. And yeah, I mean, we saw TSM decide to go with that Nautilus and the top lane after all, and I think this is pretty much the expected result, isn't it?
Yep. You take a look at that draft phase, and you really think that mistakes were made by TSM. We're going to see some action here, though.
Well, because Sven's going to try and go in. He almost picked off Bang there, but that little kick is not going to be enough. You can see the inhibitors fall in. The Nexus turrets will be next, along with the rest of TSM. They are going to catch Svenskeren out the side. He thought he'd managed to single out Bang, but instead it was the other way around. Bang led him into his trap. And the Nexus turrets will fall. SK Telecom will take game 1 over Team Solo Mid.
Typical SKT game, I think, from start to finish, as the Nexus falls, and that's game 1 in the books.
And Blank had another strong performance. He started to get that usual Nidalee CS edge.
Yeah.
TSM, they had some moments in the early game. I think they played out that mid gank where they all collapsed especially well, but they just didn't have the tools to deal with SK Telecom's composition. And especially once Duke got ahead early, there was just nothing that was stopping that Trundle.
And the KDA continues for Blank, a 3-1-10 performance, involved in 13 of the 15 kills in that game. Definitely a good performance from Blank in this tournament so far. Obviously, question marks on him coming into this, but he hasn't really been tested yet. I mean, he's played COG, Chaogu Reapers, and now TSM, and so far, he's had that wicked way with them.
Yeah, you know, it really makes me wonder if he's able to keep up this level all the way through the tournament. I really wonder how he's going to do once he gets back to Korea.
The
it could be kind of
boost.
Yeah, it could be kind of a new start for this guy. It's really cool to see. So with that, guys, we're going to send it back over to the expert desk and have that game broken down a bit more.
Thank you very much, guys. And clinical, I think, from SKT. They went even in standard lanes for 19 or so minutes, won a big dragon fight, and then just snowballed out of control. That pick and ban phase from TSM didn't leave them a lot of wiggle room.
No, we talked about it back in the pick and ban phase, leaving the Nautilus as this flex pick, then not opting into what actually could be a good matchup into Trundle with a Quinn. You kind of tell Hansa, you're going to lose lane. We're not going to help you because we lose the 2v2 against Nidalee and Trundle. So you kind of just do whatever it is you do. And then also the bottom lane. Yes, okay, they were even in CS, but there was no pressure early on from Israel Alistar, allowing Blank to do whatever. All of TSM's comp was basically just Bjergsen and Svenskeren.
Yeah, that's their game plan too. They seem to be back to just camp for Bjergsen to get him ahead with a very passive bot lane. Like Ansel Sustain clearly maybe lost the confidence into winning by outtrading. And this is kind of the opposite of what we used to seeing from Doublelift. Back in his Afromu days, they would just pick even lanes like this, but still go aggressive. Because there are windows of opportunity where you can combo aggressively and maybe try and make something happen. But they obviously took a very safe approach in the bot lane. They used the early push that Hanser could produce, obviously while being outscaled, to then roll mid, roll on fake. I think that was a fantastic play overall from Hanser, just freeing himself up in the top lane, going mid. I like what Bjergsen and Svenskeren bringing to the table in terms of synergy, but it wasn't enough. The snowball wasn't big enough to then take down SKT.
And just looking at the overall comp, the first rotation for Team Solo Mid is the one that really hurts, in my opinion, because
Nautilus Ezreal.
Nautilus Ezreal is the first 2 picks, and I feel like, first of all, they don't really take anything away from SKT, like at all, in your first rotation on red side. Also, when you pick the Nautilus here, in this case, you know there's a counter pick potential in Trundle coming in from SKT, and you still preferably have it on top side. And also, Braum is still there. And Braum, when you play double damage comms, he will single out one of the damage dealers almost every time and just remove him from the fight.
And he can exhaust the other guy.
Exhaust the other guy even. He does super well into Ezreal. Your first pick is Ezreal. You're basically saying, you pick Braum, you have fantastic here into our double 80 or double damage comp and our Ezreal pick. We're also, by the way, going to surrender the 2v2 lane in the bottom side. This rotation, had it been like Lucian Braum or Ezreal Braum, if they even want to play that lane, just take the Braum, I think it could have been a lot better, because then Nautilus could have gone to SKT, but then you could actually have a counter pick for Hansa.
But we do have a replay of one of the dragon fights that really then sealed the deal. You know, nobody really liked the draft from TSM and the options against SKT. Pull that replay up onto your screens. It takes place at around 19 minutes, and it was around the dragon. And of course, TSM, they start to get themselves in trouble. Hopefully we will get that replay up on your screen.
You can just narrate it.
There we go. And of course, as we mentioned, it is TSM in the river. Roll the clip out, and you know, just talk me through, first of all, how Faker survives for as long as he does once the engage happens, and then what TSM sort of struggle with, Deficio.
Remember at this point that Ezreal doesn't have a fully stacked tier yet. So Ezreal is actually in a point of this game here where he doesn't want to fight. So setting up a dragon where SKT is around is super, super risky, because both top laners can just TP in and join the fight.
And more importantly, look at the position that Svenskeren is in here right now. If you looked at what Spirit did well yesterday, it was flanking, getting that kickoff. Lee Sin coming from the front obviously is not going to help you in these fights.
And also Nautilus TPs in behind his own team, so double flanking is now gone. Your AD carry is weaker, and also Braum passive with Lucian and Corki here is so effective. You see the way SKT plays fight, when they tag the Braum passive on one member, your damage dealers know they can go aggressive because you can shut down one damage dealer by either stunning him and then forcing him off the fight. And that's why you don't die as Faker, even though you jump in aggressive, because Bjergsen is out.
They're running like a poke siege composition with a double front line. Like you kind of want to play that in a V4, you know, the Mighty Ducks flying V. That's the way you want to play if you're SKT. If you get flanked, you expose your weak parts, but then every single member from SKT can just fire away while Wolf either soaks up damage, locks up some Braum passive stacks on whoever walks in first, and then you just melt. You need to get Lee Sin in the side, Hanser in the other side, Bjergsen needs to come from the top. You need to confuse your opponent there, and if you play from the front, SKTs will just murder you in these team fights, and that's what kept on happening.
And it was TSM who set up the Dragon fight.
Yeah.
They weren't forced to do it at all. No fully stacked Ezreal, no wards to set up a proper flank. Weird decision. Before that, though, I felt like they were very even in the game. The problem was still they wanted to wait till like 25 minutes before actually fighting at all, outside of their Bjergsen, Svensken, Lee Sin, LeBlanc combo, which they did use well.
It's kind of a mismatch. I would rather see if they want to go for like the Lee Sin LeBlanc snowball, that they just pick aggressive lanes everywhere and try to snowball the game, because even LeBlanc with 2 kills against a good team will just run out of damage. Like you take out one guy, but if you play double threat into triple threat, you trade LeBlanc's time to maybe kill one of the threats, but there's still 2 left on the side of SKT.
Give me the dual lane that SKT had in this game on the first rotation from Team Solo Mid. And then you have the LeBlanc Lee Sin as well.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't happen, gentlemen. Team Solo Mid go down 0-1 in the best of 3. Before we head on to the next game and an ad break, we're going to have some words with Chobra.
1 second. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we already started off the final day of League of Legends here in Katowice, here in the Spodek Arena. First game, maybe there was a little bit of hope in the middle. I mean, depends on how you look at it. But guess what? When I was told I'm free today, I'm here. I'm watching it right here with all these people, with all you guys at home. And what we would like to know is how you're watching it. If you're at home, I mean, sadly, you're not next to me. That's a darn shame. But we have some people who are going to be watching. You guys are going to be sending us photos, so use the hashtag IEM. Send us photos. How are you watching it? Are you watching it with your friends? Are you watching it with your family? Are you watching it with your dog, cat, snake, reptiles, what other pets you have? Do let us know, and we'll share some of those photos as we go throughout the day. And of course, we also had a poll, and that's still running. Let us know who you think is going to win. Right now, SKT's a little bit in the lead. And I know they're like 2 times world champions and all that, but we also know everybody is a TSM fan in the whole wide world, because that's just how it works in League of Legends. So let us know, do you think TSM has a chance of coming back in this series? Let us know as we go to a break. We'll come back with game number 2. Guys at home, hope you guys are fiercely tweeting, getting ready for game 2. Yeah, let's get some energy back in here. We've still got a lot of games to go through, and I don't want this energy to ever dip down. But before we go into game number 2, we have, like you guys, we have another poll for you. Who do you think is gonna get first blood in this next game? Will Bjergsen get that solo kill against Faker? We don't know, but we want you to guess. Let us know with the hashtag IEM, and we'll see who's kind of in the lead as we go into the map. But for now, going back over to the desk to find out what's going to be the picks and bans for game number 2.
Thank you very much, Chabro. We are about to find out who will pick up that first blood. Before that, though, picks and bans. Team Solo Mid this time round are on the blue side, and SKT move over to red. So target banning can, I want to say help TSM, but how on earth do you target ban SKT?
Apparently you banned Bard after that one game. Which
It was not just one game though. It was also ever playing it, and TSM really showing that they have issues as a single person dodging skill shots sometimes. With Bard, obviously you need 2 people to dodge in unison because you can actually screw over your teammates. So that maybe that's why.
It's just such a problem for the pick and ban phase when you have to, on red side, have specific target bans against certain players, and then you give stuff like Braum over to Wolf, which, in my opinion, has been an even better support for him if you look at the entire split. So, yes, it might be Team Solo Mid saying we don't know how to properly play against Bard, we can't beat it in lane, we would have to force a lane swap or whatever it is. It is still an issue that you have to ban in the way, because we have that luxury of your SKT. There's nothing you have to ban.
Yeah. So they can just remove things that will disrupt their possible team compositions. The players are in the lobby, and I mean, what do you do? Team Solo Mid, they went away from that Quinn previously. What's going in their heads, Crepo?
I think SKT have shown that they're better at closing the game out. They're better at controlling the mid game. So for me, TSM needs to shift to a full-on early aggression composition, because they have also shown that they can actually kill some of the SKT members when they can push out the lanes, you know, surprise them. Faker got roamed down. Faker got in a little bit of 2v2 skirmish there with Blank, and then Svensson had a good kick flash. So TSM can find these openings. They just need to have the champions to really be able to exploit that. I think in every lane, just go full on aggro.
I agree.
Aim for winning lanes everywhere and hope to snowball, because if you go even, that is just like the guys on the desk said during the game, SKT style. Fall a little bit behind, just a wee bit, and then turn on the fire in the mid game.
And everything comes from mid lane, in my opinion. If their jungle mid synergy between Bjergsen and Svensson is working, and they have like a LeBlanc, Lee Sin combo, once you win mid game, or mid lane, as we saw in the game before, you can start roaming to other lanes. And that forces then suddenly Wolf and Bang in the bottom lane to back away. That opens up for suddenly the Ezreal to actually push a tower. And like everything comes from mid lane here if you are Team Solo Mid, and they have to be able to win that 2v2.
And if you are roaming, then instead of roaming to put some pressure, you can actually turn that roaming to a dive if you have winning lanes in the side lanes. That's why push prio is so important in this metagame.
Well, we are into picks and bans, gentlemen, and TSM have removed Bard, Nidalee, and Lulu. Kalista is still up and available. If they wanted to remove that, it would be SKT's priority to do so. They have banned out Kog'Maw and Lissandra, and they will hit Yellowstar where it hurts. Alistar's gone.
Kalista is open now. That's also why they take away Alistar.
Yeah, they want to trade it for the Braum.
Yeah, they want to trade like Kalista for Braum. Kalista Braum in a lane is actually super strong itself for TSM if they get it. The Nidalee Lulu, again, it's kind of what we talked about coming into this. I like the Nidalee ban against Blank because I actually think it can shut down Svensson to a certain degree. He has to wait for level 6 on Lee Sin before he can do anything, but Lee Sin is still open for him. So I think Kalista has to be the first pick here.
I would actually like a Braum Nautilus as a reply to that on the other side. I know we've seen some of the Trundle picks, but I think Duke can just play Nautilus well enough, and it completely shuts down any aggression that Double F can try in teamfights.
Do you think Honso would...
Trying to play Kalista into Nautilus Braum is so like disgusting almost.
Corki is open again though.
Yeah, that's true.
And they put so much priority on last game. The flex picking option it gives you, especially when you are on red side, if you get one flex pick, it's so much easier to get counter picks actually for both your lanes. And that makes it super good here for SKT now to see more picks coming from TSM. So we mentioned Braum. I think Braum is just too good in these fights. And Wolf plays it too well. And the same actually happened for Moore yesterday with QG. Whenever they had this Braum in fights, it's just you can see the impact every single time from a well-played Braum. And now Yellowstar, his champion pool would normally be Alistar and then most likely Braum. Last time he went for Janna. when he couldn't. But you don't really want to play Janna into Corki. It's kind of useless. Like, hey, we're going to disengage your rockets. No, that doesn't work.
So what does Yellowstar decide to fall back to? Will he go to Thresh if he's under pressure? We've seen that a few times.
Morgana could work
Morgana,
too.
yeah.
I think if you want to have what we were talking about, push, the potential to make some picks here, some CC in the fights that you can then opt out of. You don't want to go fully commit. Morgana could be a nice pick.
Don't like Janna at all.
No.
I think Morgana is way better here, as Greg was saying.
You need to kind of play like Immortals. Like your lanes need to play beyond reason. They need to really extend far forward, and then the Janna comes into guys. Hang on, guys. Sometimes it's a little bit too deep, but I don't think that's TSM's kind of style.
Well, remember how SKT plays teamfights with Braum. They tack it onto one of the damage dealers, and that means your damage dealers can go aggressive on that target and burst him down and stun him and win that trade in a teamfight itself. Morgana would, in many ways, stop that with the Black Shield. And
well, unfortunately, gentlemen, it was not locked in, and we continue to criticize TSM's draft.
It's champion pool, I feel.
Or champion pool.
She is hard to play.
They're kind of synonymous with one another. SKT, they've locked in Gragas for Blank and Poppy for Duke. So Poppy into Fiora.
But it still gives, though, the Janna pick. We can't... we have to state that it's just so much power in lane. Like, two auto attacks plus a nade up plus then a rend execute is like half your HP gone, and then at that point the enemy that is being attacked hasn't even had the chance to auto attack you once. Like, it is a super strong trade. It loses a little bit to all-ins, but right now if you can generally predict them, so push poke.
Do you think there's any possibility that that combo can even happen with double lift yellow versus bang wolf?
I mean, it has to. You can't, like, at this point, you can't just say, no, we can't play these comps here, we can't play 2v2 properly. You have to draft into it and then trust in your team to honestly win that 2v2. I think Lee Sin is going to be the pick, obviously, for Sven. His comfort pick, I like it. Liked it a lot in the last game.
Blind TF, though, on the side.
And no LeBlanc picked by Bjergsen this time, even though he actually took it.
I mean, is that calling
blind last time?
Is that calling the bluff, Corki, saying, right, put Corki on bang and then allow a counter pick for Faker?
Potentially.
I think if the Corki goes to bang and SKT lane swap, they kind of pick for Faker. I think they have a really good opening here.
I was about to say, you can actually go Zed here, because Corki goes AD carry, that's the 70% magic damage.
I was about to say that, you know, when the pick comes in,
it's just
but
about
you were
to
waffling
say.
away. No, okay, so I am kind of cheating, because I actually said Zed for the last like 4 games. We're like, oh, they could probably Zed here, and then it actually happened yesterday, and I was like, yay!
That's
And now
the
it
official
happens
script,
again.
it's like one paper.
Yeah, it's like Zed.
Zed.
Just say it every time there's a chance.
Pick Zed. So there is a chance that TSM can make this team composition work. How big is it, or will SKT 2-0 and advance the championship final?
I mean, in team fights, Janna is the counter to Zed at least. That's something.
I mean, you have a massive 1-3-1 comp here from TSM, but actually the same from SKT with Poppy one side lane, Zed in the other one. Zed split push does get affected quite a lot by TF being in there, but problem is, who's going to sit against the Zed? TF with Hourglass is going to be the defensive one, just trying to wave cling, and then you got to port away from him and like make plays globally on the map.
For TSM to win this, I think they need to predict the lane swap, win the 2v2 top with no jungle interaction, have Svenskeren start at the opposite side of Hanser, and then level 3 gank the bot 1v1. I think that's like kind of the only way, and then somehow Blank needs to AFK in all that time. He just needs to do
so much pressure on Team Solar Mid. Gentlemen, sorry to cut you off. We are going to go to a quick break, and when we return, TSM versus SKT.
of the time. He is professionally undefeated on Zed. He is 7-0. It is his highest professionally undefeated champion at this point in time, now that his LeBlanc was defeated about 9 months ago at MSI. So certainly one of his best champions of all time. The last pick there coming into the Twisted Fate, and he's not even going to play his own skin of SK Telecom Zed.
That's really it, man. I mean, if you go Zed, why not just go for your skin? I mean, go all out, dude. Oh, Blank is there. Bjergsen walks up. Faker with a bit of a bait. There's a gold card onto Blank. Gets stunned in. Goes with a body slam. They really commit to the damage, but Bjergsen taking quite a bit himself.
Is going to let Fiora Hanser get a deep ward into the top side, so they will have some idea as to the jungle pathing here. Coming in from SKT. All the members of SKT now walking up into the top jungle.
Interesting.
That's a good reaction. So Bjergsen went really aggressive in the first game in the mid lane. So they were going, okay, we're going to be ward, but we'll be close. If he does this again, we'll make him pay. And they almost managed to make it work out. But yeah, Faker Zed. So you cast a pretty popular clip with Zed before.
Yeah, it was a different time, D-Man. It was a time where you could see 2 Zeds in one game.
Oh,
yeah.
Those times will never come again.
The golden
sadly.
era.
Yeah, blind pick has been officially destroyed.
Yep.
As of this year.
Rip blind pick. Oh well. Wolf coming into being annoying to Svenskeren as he tries to start his jungle, and Bang is right there as well. Hanser coming from behind, but Svenskeren just pushed off the Wolves for a minute, and this is not going to stop anytime soon, unless you're talking about right now, and then it might stop right there.
But flash burned early. That's a very early flash for Lee Sin. It's not going to hurt him too badly, but...
And TSM had vision over that coming into the river early on, and just based on how Korean teams tend to lane swap, you have to assume that they're going to be coming in, especially when you have a champion like Braum there in the jungle, or in the level 1. So a little bit sloppy there. Svenskeren are going to take some hits, and it's going to be a bit challenging for him now. We'll be a little bit behind when it comes to this early jungle.
This Yellow Star or this Janna for Yellow Star rather. Now, we don't see Janna played by Korean teams at all. Why is that?
I just don't think it's very strong right now. When you want to accelerate the game, a lot of these melee supports who are very tanky, especially Alistar, when you're talking about trying to pick up kills or objectives via diving. Also, the game is generally played with a lot of AD carries and a lot of poke these days, which means that, as of course the expert desk was saying, that the Janna ult doesn't become particularly useful in these scenarios. So I just don't think it's that great overall. Now, because the Zed was picked, it will be useful. As you see, Wolf accidentally take a couple turret shots here. That's a big mistake. But won't slow them down too much, as in the lane swap, nothing likely to befall Wolf in that side of the map. TSM gets back on course, and they are going to be able to just take out this turret. So the flash from Svenskeren, it's not going to affect too much when all is said and done. Bjergsen also has a chance to go back and pick up a second Doran's Ring early, so very concerned with winning this mid lane matchup.
Yeah, very early buy, actually. Faker obviously stuck around, no reason to go back. This will be the 2 towers going down. So, first one, Hanser. Go on, get the last little hit. There we go. Just let the minions have it, why not? Didn't want to take the glory.
And SKT doesn't pick up that turret yet. They're going to be a little bit slower on that one in the lane swap.
Yeah, well, they were a little bit delayed by the pressure they were putting on in the jungle, but see how fast they can actually get up here. Duke is going to be left alone. However, Hanser will get a few more minions now that Duke is going to have to check this out. Back off, sees the Sentinel, takes a spear there from Doublelift, and they drop a ward deep in the lane just to make sure that they know exactly who's going to be there. Svenskeren now coming up to the top lane, actually. Duke may have let this go just a little bit too far.
Svenskeren just coming up behind as well. This is scary stuff. Does manage to get caught out. Is it going to be enough to slow him down? Doesn't look like it. And Duke will just stroll away. No panic whatsoever. So, Bjergsen keeping the blue cards ticking away on Faker there, but in that max damage and mana reward, but not a great deal else.
Yeah, Blank and Wolf's coming up to support Duke here. Oh, Yellow Star gets hit with the Braum Q. Got to be careful there. Return Whirlwind.
That was just Braum doing damage to Yellow Star. That's scary how weak Janna can
She's
be
squishy.
early game, yeah.
And look at what SKT is doing. So they're not going to actually trade into this turret pressure. They send Duke back top with the teleport, and what they're doing is they're trying to power up this Corki early. So Corki is one of those AD carries that really benefits from having early levels. So the solo experience, getting him that level 6 faster is much more beneficial, but TSM's going to try and punish this.
The Yellowstar took a turret shot there. Here comes the teleport for TSM. SKT just falling back under turret. They're going to go for it. Gold card onto Wolf. Double lift is right there as well. Faker comes up. TSM on the wrong side of the tracks, but it looks like they might be able to get out.
But they're losing so much by not playing around this bottom lane, and they use that teleport. So if Bang pushes this up right now, they can deny quite a few minions just into that tier 1 turret in the bottom side. Bang not actually going to be pushing this that aggressively, but now Hanser just can't get down to that bottom lane quite fast enough. So Bang is really starting to come away, get that level advantage early on, and SKT just reacts well in the top side.
Yeah, very near disaster there for TSM. I mean, we saw Yellowstar taking the tower hit very early on in the fight, going low, so he couldn't go back and exchange it. And then suddenly, what have you got left with? Well, you got a Twisted Fate and a Kalista. Well, neither have got hit points. They don't want to trade the tower hits. And when Faker comes around behind you, you get a little shiver up your spine as you realize we may have made a mistake here, boys.
Yeah, Hanser actually is going to collect a lot of the CS, so that's good. He didn't actually lose too much. Bang was not pushing out, I think, as fast as he could or should have in that particular instance. Bjergsen does have level 6 now, so they can try and make a play again onto Duke if they so choose. But Faker now fading down into the bottom side with Blank's Gragas here.
And Blank's seen by a ward, so Hanser knows he's coming in. And yeah, he just backs off. Be safe. Probably a good decision. So just back to more farm in the mid lane for Faker and Bjergsen. Bjergsen getting a little bit zoned out for the moment.
Oh, they're so scared at this point in time. They know Blank is just lurking down there. Is finally going to clear out the ward that was placed over the wall, has that pink, get the deep vision in. Wolf there on the other side does manage to find Svenskeren over near the Raptors, but Duke is getting some more just free time in this top side. You can really start to see that there is a CS differential developing. Bang was left alone for a really long time in the bottom lane.
Speaking of things changing throughout the years in League of Legends, I remember the old days with Twisted Fate. You used to ward just either side of him, just to keep a track of his motions, the fear of a Twisted Fate arriving in those lanes. Nowadays, nobody gives a rat's what Bjergsen does, really. They're just watching where he goes. But Bjergsen himself, is nothing against him. He's played absolutely magnificent throughout this tournament. But yeah, Twisted Fate, just not quite the powerful, scary monster that it used to be with the Globals.
Yeah, well, we'll probably still see some of those wards going down. I mean, you do see a couple there right behind the red buff, so they're trying to keep eyes on him right now, but it's all about just denying the vision so that if Zed leaves lane, there is that opportunity.
Hello, Svenskeren, and he finds Blank in the jungle. Blank jumps on him immediately, backs off. It's not the engage they were looking for. But Bjergsen ready with that gold card right away. Of course, Bjergsen taking a hit from the Q, but that Braum passive not going to get set off. SK Telecom probably smart not pursuing that one any more than they needed to.
Yeah, so there's not much that TSM can do right now. They could maybe try and make a play topside, but notice where Blank is positioned. He's there in the enemy jungle. He chunked out Svenskeren already, and now it does make it a little bit more dangerous, especially with this Fiora in the bottom side. Duke just going to push that wave all the way into the turret, so no opportunity to freeze. A little bit of a dangerous path here for Duke. Taking a risk, especially with Bjergsen having that ultimate up, and Faker moving down to the bottom side, but it won't be punished.
Yep, Double Lift should be able to back away from this one. He has got Yellowstar nearby. Just try and turn that around. Hello, where are you going to go, Bjergsen? Just getting a little bit of vision, I think, global vision to figure out. Doesn't dash off, just saying, yep, Faker's definitely not in my lane anymore.
You know,
has wandered.
A big part of what happened, too, is that Gragas took the blue buff, and TF without his blue buff is going to have problems.
Yeah, well, what we're looking at, too, is that Faker went down because he had that pink ward into the bottom side river, and Gragas came to hold mid during that time period. So that actually scared them that Zed might be going for some sort of play down bottom and prompted that TF ult to come up. In the meantime, Blank just still making Svenskeren's life miserable here. He's always in the right place at the right time. He bought time for Duke to get out of the jungle, immediately covered mid so that Faker had an opportunity to roam, and now he's down on the bottom side of the map. Faker coming to join him. They just want to take this turret. They don't really care about getting the kills.
I feel like a little bit of PTS is going to start kicking in for Sven soon, because everywhere he goes in his own jungle, every bush he goes into, Blank is stood there waiting for him, belly slammed to the face.
That's right.
Hasn't yet made him punish him yet, but it's coming. It's coming. The damage is building.
Well, Gragas is a big guy, too. You don't expect him to be in there. It's definitely alarming, I think, if you're Svenskeren. And blue buff for SKT going to be taken by Blank as well. So, yeah, just denying that blue buff to Bjergsen is going to be tough to deal with in SKT. I mean, look at the wards they have on the bottom side of the map. They've got such control, and I feel like they can kind of go grab Dragon whenever they want at this point, huh?
Well, I think they just really want to take down this bottom tier 1. I mean, it's so low already. Why not just go ahead and take that? You don't need to take an early Dragon here. You're going to be pretty confident about your ability to play. Yellowstar's going to face check that brush.
That's a lot of damage in onto that Janna. What do you expect from Corky Braum? And so Fate's Call has to be used just to keep Yellowstar alive.
Yeah, and that's a good trigger, surely, for this Dragon. We can see them. They're going to keep the pressure on. TSM already backing away hesitantly, and now we're seeing something at the top here. Hauntzer wants to go for it. Grand challenge goes down. Svenskeren lands the kick.
Missed.
There we go. Duke misses out his ulti, and First Blood will come in, and it does go to Hauntzer. Much needed gold as well, because he was falling desperately behind in lane.
Yeah, going to get that First Blood, and that is really crucial because that's one of TSM's primary win conditions in this game, is getting that Fiora split push moving and actually trying to close out the game that way. In response, though, SKT will take a turret and the Dragon, so the First Blood not actually going to be particularly meaningful in this case, but it's a nice way to get Hauntzer back in this game, and if they can just hold out until that late game, they can make plays around the Fiora onto Duke. Team fighting still might be a bit of an issue because TSM doesn't actually have a tank here. Faker, of course.
Oh, Faker going back in onto Bjergsen. Now exhaust used as he gets kicked back by Svenskeren. Nice response by TSM. Bjergsen barely surviving the ignite there. That was close, but Svenskeren saves the day. Here comes Bang for the return kill. And he might be able to get Svenskeren as well. Some minions blocking. Svenskeren manages to get out just in time.
Yeah, a little bit of a cocky play by Faker there. Two questionable plays made by SK Telecom. First off, Duke didn't have any wards in his side of the jungle, so made that gank easy, and they really had no idea where Svenskeren was on the map before Faker attempted that all in, so he will go ahead and give up the ghosts early on, but the kill goes over to Sven and not to Bjergsen, so it's not really going to help this Twisted Fate get too powered up.
Yeah, meanwhile, a kill on Bang is nothing that SKT can complain about, I suppose.
Yeah, he went with the early call this game. We're seeing that more and more in these lane swap scenarios, no matter the champion. We've seen SK Telecom try and run the call, even on champions like Kalista. Seen the call first before tier on blue build Ezreal, so that item really moving up in priority when you have a lane swap and sort of just the freedom to farm it up and not worry too much about any kind of early action. Here we go again.
Oh, Bjergsen, that's a little too deep, even for you. No way he was going to get out of that. They don't really know what he was planning there. Just strolling up lane when there's 3 members of SKT just stood watching.
Well, honestly, Blank and Wolf have made this game extremely difficult for Bjergsen. They're really targeting him out. You'll notice that they had control over the river brushes in terms of pink wards and kept the enemy ward free pretty much this entire game. And that means it's very dangerous for him.
Yeah, Yellowstar having to be pulled back in with the Fate's Call again. Double lift engages. They get the 2-man knockup. The Whirlwind helping out with the CC as well. Blank might be in a little bit of trouble here. Braum ultimate use. Here comes Bang to reinforce the SK Telecom delegation. Duke coming from the side. There's a kill on each side right now.
Duke and Hauntzer were dueling at it. There still are around the side there. They've been going back and forth. This is a double fight going on right now. Bjergsen will get slowed down. It does look like they're going to be able to escape this one. Does look like Duke was coming out. I mean, they were fighting in the jungle. Svenskeren is not letting this go. He's going to continue chasing it. He wants to find Bang. He's found himself Wolf, and there is Bang. Well, you wanted it. You're going to get it. Now you're going to have to get out of there alive. This is buying time for pressure on the mid turret. And it's going to force SKT to have to try and defend here. Duke's going to come around the side. Bang should be able to have enough to protect it. Should just have to wave clear, but TSM will take it.
Oh, yeah, they barely get the turret in the end.
Barely getting it down. So TSM has a good shot call there. Take out the mid turret again. They get the mid turret first in both of the games that we've seen take place in this series, and they're playing around that pressure. So Svenskeren actually did buy them a lot of time there. He distracted SK Telecom so they could take an objective, and it ended up working out. Now, Blank and Wolf going in onto Yellowstar don't actually land the stun. TSM decides they want to fight right here. Svenskeren coming in for backup. And we just see the Braum ult just dissuade any kind of further action. Faker decides to go in, exhaust, but look at the side there. Duke dueling with Hauntzer, keeping him out of the fight, forcing the ultimate. And one thing about this Poppy build, so when Poppy is played into Fiora, as we watch the rest of this unfold, when Poppy is played into Fiora in Korea, we typically see the build be Iceborne Gauntlet and Sunfire Cape. And this build can actually outduel Fiora at the 2-3 item point. Later in the game, that's not going to work, but it does stave off the split pushing for a little bit, and I've seen a lot of poppies actually win this matchup when they itemize in this way. Does it help, obviously, be as tanky in team fights? No. Will it help against Bjergsen ganks? Not really, but it is effective in that 1v1.
And how, I mean, obviously it is Faker's Zed, but how relevant will it be towards the end? You can already see Bjergsen, he's getting that Zhonya's Hourglass in there. Expect to see the QSS coming out for double lift ASAP. We have seen Fiora's building it as well. Who will be the target later on? I mean, obviously, if he can get a carry, sure, great.
Janna, I think, will forever be a target, especially if her ult is down. There's not much you're going to be able to do. Fiora getting a QSS is going to be a very, very late item.
Yeah, be like a fourth, fifth.
So that may not be particularly relevant. I mean, Faker's been playing pretty...
Are you suggesting we won't reach the fourth or fifth item?
I think that may be a bit of a question mark here.
Faker going in on the Yellow Star again.
Speaking of which...
Finds him, yeah, and just too much damage. Faker gets exhausted. Fate's call, does it save him? I guess it does. Interesting. Faker gets hit with the gold card, though. Blank trying to save his mid laner, since Garen comes in for the execute anyway and gets out over to Bjergsen. So just a nice response from TSM yet again. SKT chasing, though. We'll see what they can get out of this.
Bang very close to catching the big rocket there onto Yellow Star. But, well, there you go. Fate's call saves him from the kill. Just once again, that's actually 3 times double this is pulled into safety now.
And Faker's really been having a tough game on this Zed. He's not playing. He's not actually calculating his all-ins very well. And every time it seems he goes for one of these all-ins, he just doesn't quite have enough damage, or he's not taking into account that other members of TSM could be there. Had that Janna been alone, absolutely that would have been successful.
Oh, Duke all over Hanser right now. Already some damage. There's a turret hit as well. Hanser trying to get away. Janna, Whirlwind trying to save his top laner. Wow, Duke goes in anyway. There's the ultimate from Yellow Star, and it looks like Hanser's barely going to make it out. I got to say, Yellow Star's been making this Janna work so far.
Well, also Duke actually flashed unnecessarily there. So we're going to take a look at this duel once again. And Yellow Star is spinning, was getting very low with that ignite. And then there's the counter engage, Blank waiting, but the stun still goes off onto Faker, and Svenskeren manages to tag him with the Q and then get out with the safeguard.
Yeah, Blank really did everything he can. I mean, he knocked Bjergsen away right as he came in with the ultimate, but just a little bit too late to save Faker from all that damage.
Well, this Zed is not going to be particularly useful in the late game. Who exactly is he going to be split pushing against here, because he's fallen a little bit behind? And I'm also curious as to why he's not building an early Hex Drinker in this case. Obviously not going to be particularly useful in the split push when he goes up either against Hanser or a double lift, but it is a bit, I think, cocky in the early game against this Twisted Fate not to be grabbing that item, but SKT applies the pressure with the package and the threat of the dive there with Corki and Zed, and they are able to take a turret advantage, and they have their sights set on another dragon.
Now, TSM fans will obviously be fairly excited by the prospect that at 20 minutes in, once again, TSM are keeping up with SK Telecom. But we saw this in game 1, and this was very close. Well.
Oh, here we don't go.
He's actually going to get out alive. Yeah, he's got the little support. Svenskeren acting as the bouncer. Once again, protecting Yellow Star. Played very well, by the way, in this series so far. But this was a similar situation in game 1, and suddenly it just flicked. 4K differential suddenly kicked in over the space of 30 seconds, and TSM didn't read the situation where they'd lost out. How do they not fall into this trap again? I mean, SKT, they're just waiting for that moment. You're already seeing Faker trying to make the plays. I mean, Faker playmaker, that's what he does. Sooner or later, one of them's going to pay off.
Well, perhaps, but I think the counters have been there for TSM, and I don't think that they drafted as poorly as they did in the last game. This is a stronger scenario, and playing that Zed into the Janna is bold. I will say that. I think it is a nice pick into the Twisted Fate, and we haven't seen Bjergsen have much of an effect this game with his ultimate. He hasn't been able to shut down anyone, but because Duke died early and now Hanser has that advantage, they've gotten kind of what they wanted out of this deal anyway. They have set up the Fiora, and it's up to Hanser to see really what they can do in this game when it comes to closure. TSM has not been a particularly strong team in the LCS when it comes to split pushing. That's not really their identity that we've seen, so they have to be very cautious about the plays they're going to be making, because that Zed dropping down, Hanser doesn't have a lot of, too many defensive stats right now can be dangerous.
Yeah, SK Telecom has a little bit of a lead right now still, but it's a very close game, and I mean, Bjergsen has that Zhonya's Hourglass now. That's going to make him even better at holding off any sort of all-in from Faker. Gives TSM a nice option to team fight, getting Bjergsen in the backline if they need to.
I think when TSM has to split push to close out this game, or they have to be able to get picks, because when we think about the team fight here, their only real form of engage, because the Janna is there instead of a melee support who can follow up on the Fade's call, is going to be Bjergsen sort of gating into the back line. And because they lack a lot of tankiness, with the disengage that SKT has from champions like Gragas and Poppy, they can just knock people immediately right back out of that fight. TSM is going to struggle in any kind of 5v5 scenario. TP going to be coming in, though.
Yeah, Duke coming in from the bottom. Let's see if they can catch anybody here. They're going for double lift. There's Faker onto double lift. He's in a lot of trouble right now. Faker comes in, should be able to get the kill. Meanwhile, Svenskeren gets caught in the jungle too, and SK Telecom, are they flipping the switch? Maybe. There's the Q on the Yellowstar, pushes him away with the ultimate, but Bang will just knock ahead. There's the ult from Blank, and a double kill comes in for Bang. SK Telecom getting 3 for nothing right there.
Well, we've seen Double Lift be over-pushed a lot so far this tournament, and there wasn't the support there to actually help him out. Very good TP from Duke. They kind of converged on him from all sides. They had Faker right by the turret. They're going to go for a 21-minute Baron with 3 dead.
Seems ambitious, but yeah,
they can do it.
People dead.
Well, Hornser is here already. Svenskeren, everybody now respawning from TSM. This is going to have to be a very long delayed fight for TSM. They're buying enough time perhaps here. Grand challenge on Wolf, not really what Hornser was looking for. Bjergsen got out. Zhonya's going to go down. He's going to get picked off. Manages to flash away just about in time. Can he get another step? No, he can't. But the rest of TSM are now here.
Wow, yeah.
Svenskeren with a great kick, but the question is, have they got the damage follow-up? Double Lift arrives, tries to catch on towards Blank. He manages to kite the damage beautifully, and Faker arrives. Hornser and Yellowstar, the last 2 standing. The slow on Yellowstar means his demise is impending, and the Baron and the towers all going SKT's way.
Yeah, well, I think the switch got flipped there.
4 dead. This is going to be an inhibitor for sure, but coming into that Baron fight, that was absolutely the perfect time to turn from SKT. They didn't want to actually finish that Baron. They forced the fight on 2 members that are actually still up, with Bjergsen and Hornser still there. And by the time they've already chunked out Bjergsen and Hornser or killed them, it's the perfect time for the rest of TSM to start filtering in. And TSM just had to leave Bjergsen and Hornser there to die, because even though there was an impressive kick from Svenskeren,
Bjergsen goes in for the gold card onto Wolf. Bang is there to defend him, though. Hornser comes over the wall. They really want something. TSM just wants to get anything out of this. Oh, man, and the wild card doesn't even hit Faker on the recall. Looks like they'll get out okay. Yeah,
TSM, though, with the Baron going down, they just sort of filter in one by one to die. They had to let that one go. So many people had just been taken, so a very, very easy 21-minute Baron here for SK Telecom, and there's not really going to be, I think, any further response. As we take a look from this fight, I mean, Wolf just blocks everything right there, zones him out with his ultimate. Faker still threatening Bjergsen on the side, and they kill Baron and then turn instantly, and now Duke is going to be winning this matchup.
Yeah, he finds Hornser right there. There's the ultimate. Hornser will see if he can make it out. Yellowstar, oh, hello, Faker. Yeah. Well, that's not what you want to see come over the wall at you if you're a Janna. Hornser does escape. Blank takes some turret damage, but man, I mean, Yellowstar just got blown up in that tribe rush.
Yeah, Duke has the QSS now on the Poppy, so
that's a lot of damage.
Bye, Bjergsen.
Yep, bye, Bjergsen.
Well, we talked about the switch flipping. It's now, what, 8,000 goal differential within, what, a space of 2 minutes?
SKT didn't just flip the switch. They just, like, yanked it right out of the wall and threw it out the window, man. No one's turning that switch off anymore.
Apparently
I don't know, man.
Handbrakes, nothing can stop them, it seems. First inhibitor, second inhibitor, sorry, will be falling because the middle one's already down. And honestly, SKT, they could just keep pushing here. I don't think TSM are going to be able to deal with them. They're going to go in for the fight. There it is. Yellowstar caught out once again. The barrel comes down. Duke just flies on through. Faker going deep, in and out. Damage done. Duke just around the side there. Oh, Svenskeren, he tries to make the play, but instead it just launches him to his death in SKT's favor. Third inhibitor of the game going down, and TSM on the cusp of going out of the tournament.
Well, nice body slam from Blank. Slows up Hornser for just a moment. Duke is so low, but he throws Bjergsen into the inhibitor, and there is nothing inhibiting SKT right now from finishing this game. There goes double lift. There goes the inhibitor. They don't even need it. They can just go right for the Nexus turrets, and at sub 25 minutes, SK Telecom gonna put a period on the end of this sentence, man. They're going to take this series 2-0. There goes Hanser. There goes the Nexus. And SK Telecom are going to the finals of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships as soon as they finish off the Nexus. And there it goes. GG.
Well, Coach Como confidently predicts